Lori here. I'm here to do another Top 10 Tuesday. The theme this week is unique book titles, and I definitely had fun with this tag. Normally when I choose books, here's my order of how I choose them. First is always author recognition, then is summary, then is title, but these books definitely the title drew me to the book and drew me to read the summary. There's a bunch more, but these are just the books that I have on hand and books that I have ebooks of, and one book that hasn't come out yet that I'm like, I need to own that book when it comes out. But the first book I'm going to chat about is a Jennifer E. Smith novel, This Is What Happy Looks Like. All of Jennifer E. Smith's books has like really, really cool titles, but this was definitely my favorite. Another one of my favorite is the Geography of You and Me, and the Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight. But this is definitely my favorite Jennifer E. Smith's book. Follows Graham and Ellie, and they wind up striking up an online friendship and not knowing the identity of the other person. Graham is a movie star, and Ellie wants to do everything to stay out of the spotlight. But when their paths cross in her beach town, their lives get a little bit complicated. But I definitely like this title, and I like how this title was incorporated into the novel. And definitely reading this novel, I was like, I have to read the back of it. And the second I read the back, I was like, I am in. But the title was definitely one that caught my eye and I thought was super unique. Another title that I'm going to chat about is the second book in the Katie McGarry series, Pushing Limits, which is Dare You To by Katie McGarry. This is the second book in that series. The first book is Pushing the Limits, which I also really like the title. All these titles in her series are really, really good and so work with the novel. But Dare You To is another book. I love dares and I love like scavenger hunts and stuff like that. And I was so like pleasantly surprised by this book. And they remain one of my top favorite couples in her entire world. And I really, really like them. But this title was definitely something that made me be like, I did enjoy the first book in the series, Pushing the Limits, but when I saw this title, I was like, oh, I have to read this, and I was like not disappointed in the slightest. And another book in that vein is the e-story that she wrote for Logan and Abby, and it's called. She literally could have titled this book The Logan and Abby Story, and I would have read it. But Chasing the Impossible is definitely drew me even more to the story, but I had to know what happened to these characters, and it remains probably my top book in the entire series. I really, really love it. If you have not picked up Chasing the Impossible, I highly recommend you go check it out. It's only available as an ebook, but it's so good. I really hope to reread it soon because it's been a while since I read it. I really want them to come out with an audiobook for it, but again, the title is just something that like, we always strive for impossible things, and I just was like, oh, I wonder what their impossible things are, and it really did live up to its expectations and remains one of the highlights of that series for me. The next book series I'm going to talk about is kind of Rick Riordan in general, but all his titles in all of his novels, like his Magnus Chase novels, his Percy Jackson, his Heroes of Olympus, he picks like the best titles for his novels, and they just work so well. I just picked up this one because it was like the first book I saw, but all of his titles really like work with the novel so well, and it just makes you intrigued. Like, even if I knew nothing about Percy Jackson, I'd be like, oh, I want to know what the Lightning Thief is. I want to know what the Son of Neptune, I want to know what all these things are. So they're really like attention grabbing, and this was definitely true with this and all of his novels. He comes up with really, really creative titles. So way to go, Rick Riordan. Another book title is actually a new release. It came out in September, and it's Warcross by Mary Lou. And not only did I love this cover, but I wanted to know what Warcross was. And like, you read the summary and you kind of get an idea. But simply not knowing it, I was like, what the hell is Warcross? And then reading about the book, you're like, that makes so much sense. But just the title really made me intrigued to like know what happened. And I read this book much sooner, almost the second I got it from BookCon, but I was really, really happy with it and need book 2 immediately. The next book series I'm going to talk about is the Alexandra Bracken series, which is Darkest Minds. And the reason I'm going to talk about this title is because all the titles, I don't have all the books, but they all make a word, or like all the titles make a sentence. So it's Darkest Minds Never Fade in the Afterlight. And I love that. I thought that was really cool. And you were like trying to figure out what the last title would be from the first two. And I really, really love these titles. And I really, really love this series. I will be talking about this later on Wednesday in my top 5 Wednesday this week too. So keep a nose out for that. But I really love that Alexandra Bracken continued the title trend. And it was just really, really good. And her Her books always are so atmospheric and just really, really well done, and she's a really, really spectacular world builder. But these titles definitely captured my attention. And when it was revealed that she was going to do a title with her sentence titles, I was like, oh, I'm totally there. And she has not disappointed me yet. So, and the next book I'm going to talk about is kind of an easy one, but I really do love the Stephanie Perkins books. I love all their titles, but this was the one that like captured my heart. I think I've listened to this book like 9 times and read it like twice. I love Lola. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but just the simply seeing this title, I was like, oh my god, it's going to be about her falling in love with the boy next door. And she does fall in love with the boy next door, but it's about so much more. And this title was I like this title because it's not what the book's about. It is, but it's not. And I really, really enjoy that. The last physical book I'm going to talk about is one I haven't read yet. I did just get it at New York City Comic Con, and I do have an e-copy somewhere in my house. But it's The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness, and I'm just going to read the back of it because I think it's just funny. What if you aren't the chosen one? The one who isn't supposed to fight the zombies or soul-eating ghosts or whatever the heck the thing is with the blue lights and the death. What if you're like Mikey, who just wants to graduate and go to prom and maybe finally ask Hannah out before someone goes and blows up the school again? Because sometimes there's a problems bigger than this week's end of the world, and sometimes you just have to find the extraordinary in your ordinary lives, even if your best friend is worshipped by mountain lions. And I just love this title, and I have wanted to read this book for so long. So hopefully now that I actually have a physical copy and it is on my shelves instead of my Kindle, it will get read. The next book I'm going to talk about is a Morgan Matson novel, and it's called Like Jennifer E. Smith, all of her titles are pretty awesome, and I really enjoy them. But Since You've Been Gone was probably one of my favorite Morgan Matson novels. I also really like The Unexpected Everything, but I just like the title because it could have meant so many different things, and I just loved the structure of it, and I loved, again, what the title was in the novel, like how it was incorporated in it. But I really recommend you read any of Morgan Matson novels, but this title was definitely one of my favorites, and it definitely inspired me to buy the book and read it. And once I read the summary, I was totally hooked, but I will admit the title was like, I wonder what, since who's been gone? Who's this book's perspective from? So, again, that was a book title that I was kind of like, intrigued me, and I eventually bought it. And then I read it, and I really liked it. And the last book I'm going to talk about is not out yet. But it is called To Kill a Kingdom, and I think it comes out in January or February. Now, I bet you're thinking, Laura, why don't you have an arc of this book? That is why I'm telling you the reason if you do not watch my Comic-Con hot wrap-up, there was a choice between Daughter of a Siren Queen and this book, and I ultimately chose Daughter of a Siren Queen because I had read Daughter of a Pirate King and I really enjoyed it. But just literally hearing the title of that book, I was like, oh my god, I want that book. Don't even know what it's about. I know it's about mermaids. I know it's a dark version of mermaids, and it's almost as if Ariel has to kill Prince Eric, but Prince Eric has to kill Ariel, and I think that that's just a really, really cool premise. And I know it's dark. My friend Carolina has read it already and simply adored it. Thought it was a really, really dark retelling of The Little Mermaid, which is something that I have not read a lot of mermaid books in my life, but it definitely sounds like one that I'm definitely going to add to my TBR and definitely hopefully pick up come 2018. But that is a title that I literally, the second I heard that title, I was like, oh my god, that book needs to be mine. So hopefully I will find a way to get it in my hands soon. But if not, I'll just wait when it comes out. But those are all the unique book titles that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I hope that you guys enjoyed my video. Let me know in the comments, what are some unique book titles that you found, or what titles of books did you read that made you want to read the book, and did you wind up liking it? I hope you guys are having a great day. Be sure to check out my Instagram. I'm going to try to link it in the description bar, but it might not work. It's Chippy4000. Let me know if you guys think I should change it to something more bookish themed, and give me some ideas in the comments, and maybe I'll make that change. But I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.